So warm welcome for Ian. Take it away, my friend.
All right. Hello, hello. I hear like people get the mic a little hot, so let me know if I come in too warm. All right. Perfect. So I'm Ian Lonsdale. I'm the Director of Commercial Sales here at Chatmeter. Not here, I guess at Chatmeter. And Chatmeter is uniquely positioned to help our clients with one of the biggest problems in the modern era, and that is how to leverage all of your unstructured data to provide breakthrough customer experiences. So let's start first by talking about what data is. We have unstructured data and structured data. Unstructured data has been around since the dawn of time, since we were humans trying to figure out where to live, what's going to kill us, what we can eat specifically, and figuring that out. So like the first person that ate a lobster needed to go, all right, that actually is really tasty. Let me share this with people. Let me figure it out. But we didn't have a way to structure it, so we kept it in our brains, we shared it verbally, and then as time went on, we started writing things down. This is one of the first examples of structured data. It's from about 5,000 years ago. Anybody want to guess what this was used to store and record?
Recipes for lobster.
Beer. I like that, though. Beer is one of the most popular beverages, probably one of the few things you could safely drink, and this tablet was used to help people track how much they got paid in beer, because that's the currency they were using to build certain things, and this tablet made sure you got what you had coming to you. So structured data is something we're very good at as businesses. We've got finance teams handling your money, you've got CRMs tracking your customers, rewards programs figuring out which beers you like best, and keeping that information all really close. But without unstructured data, you can't get the full picture of what's happening with both your customers and who they are. So let's talk about the unstructured data. As I said, it's a big problem. About 80% of business data is unstructured, and it's growing every year. You've got that data coming in from all of these sources, reviews online, chatbots, emails, things that we're clicking, and as more and more things are tracked, this data is growing at a huge rate, about 55% a year, and it ends up hitting organizations like a tidal wave. The good news is, a lot of organizations are well set up to help spread that information around, get it to key decision makers, get it in front of other people. But the real challenge is it's hard to take actionable insights from that data, and specifically actionable insights that impact the customer experience and then the bottom line. And because of that, we tend to really rely on that structured data. We send surveys out. We ask questions. We focus on experiences that we are familiar with, and we ask questions that we are familiar with. Hey, were you greeted at the door? Did you enjoy the new triple bacon cheeseburger? Was your beer cold? And we take those questions and we get feedback from them. But we do that because we're scared if I just ask, hey, how was your experience? I'm going to get responses that cover the gamut, and they're useless to me. But the fact is, those responses often contain information that's telling you what, for that customer, made that experience a memorable one or a terrible one. And they also contain a lot of emotion. You'll find a lot of passion for your brands, or the opposite of passion for your brands in those responses. And you need that information to be able to understand where your blind spots are, what your customers are saying about you. So let's talk about how you can leverage that data and find those blind spots. And the first thing to do is understand what is your unstructured data. And I start by saying a lot of your unstructured data isn't actually digital. You know a lot about your brand. You have internal knowledge of what makes the customer experience good, both for you and just common sense of what a good customer experience is. And as you start to analyze your unstructured data, focus on those themes and those moments. Good examples are, what's the impression of your facilities when somebody walks in? What's the order experience like? What's your wait time? Believe it or not, food, what do they think of it, right? And odds are, as you look at those key themes and moments, you're also going to see those in your unstructured data. And then you can dive deeper into the unstructured data that you're starting to organize and find topics from those. Some really common ones are things like food, cleanliness, staff. Cleanliness is a great example because by itself, it really doesn't mean much. If they're saying cleanliness, what are they saying? Are they saying it isn't clean? It is clean? If they're saying it's not clean, what are they saying isn't clean? Is it your bathrooms that aren't clean, or is it your tables that aren't clean? And without that insight, cleanliness is pretty useless. So, actually, there's one thing I want to point out really fast. You're starting to dive in and figure out your themes. If you're not using an analytics tool to find that, like a neural engine, Google has actually added a new feature, and this is showing up on all of your listings, where they're pulling up themes of keywords that are said quite frequently. And if you don't know where to start, this can actually help guide you and show you, okay, what are the themes that people are speaking to, and then you start to identify your topics, categories, sentiment, and once you do that, you need to create reports. One of the most common things out there is a word cloud. This is Chatmeter's Sunburst. We take those themes, categories, topics, and we put it into the categories that you need to start looking at for your reports. And those are themes, categories, topics, sorry. But then also think of them at location level, regional level, and brand wide, and then break them into the sentiment. Is it positive, negative, or neutral? No matter how you want to do that, you do need to look at those reports, dive in, and start to identify your icebergs. Your icebergs are moments of that customer interaction that are either positively or negatively impacting your customer that you might or might not be aware of, and diving deeper into those. Because from those icebergs, those big mentions, those big areas, you're going to start to find your blind spots. Now, as you think about your blind spots, the best way to go, how do I find them, is actually to turn back around to your structured data and say, okay, so I've got all this structured data here. I'm asking really specific questions. But now think about your surveys. Those are directed a lot of times by what you care about personally, or even more frequently, what other parts of the company care about. Is product asking, how did the new menu launch go? Operations, we just launched a new checkout method. What are people saying about it? Ask about that specifically. It's really easy as you target these questions to miss the full picture. And when you're missing the full picture, you're not knowing what people are saying. And as you overlap now your unstructured data with your structured data, find those missing areas. Find those blind spots in your icebergs. And then, once you're finding those blind spots, it's time to validate it. Does what your unstructured data say actually matter, or is it just white noise? So actually, I'm going to turn this into an example. And let's say that we are a juice shop, and we're seeing all over Google and Yelp some really unstructured data that people are really upset about your wait times. They keep having a long time to get their juices. If that's the case, it's very interesting because you're not seeing it all in your structured data. So they're not too sure if they want to make a change, and this change could be really costly for that juice shop. So what they might do is step back and do a 360 approach, restructure their surveys to ask more questions about that. And if they start to see that in their surveys as well, we know we got a big issue. We know that people are really upset about that in both places. We validated it. We need to make a big sweeping change. And the goal is, as you overlap those two pieces of data, you can understand both all the issues, uncover the blind spots, and then prioritize them and figure out what needs to happen next. I apologize, there's a validation slide. All right, let's prioritize. So you've got these pieces, you're understanding your data, now you need to prioritize it, and you can use that because oftentimes a big customer issue might not be easy to fix in one small spot. So it's really great to do right by your customers all the time, try and make every customer happy, but there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So use these two data sets together to prioritize areas where maybe if you can't do the huge sweeping change, let's identify some small customer service areas that you can impact with little cost and maybe even little effort. Let's take a good example, actually. Let's leave the health bar of juices and go into the fried world, and let's get some chicken nuggets. And now, this chicken nugget shop, we're following our reviews, and we're seeing in both our Google, Yelp reviews, and our surveys that people are pretty upset about our sauces. And specifically, they're mad that they don't get enough sauce when they order their chicken nuggets. Really easy solution, give the people what they want, more sauce. But that could increase cost, might increase waste. So you may choose to instead take a look at this data and actually do another option, which is start to promote that you can purchase more sauces. Now you're adding a revenue stream while solving that customer service issue, and then you can continue to monitor what are people saying and how do they feel about that change that you made. So once you are monitoring them, you're prioritizing them, you're starting to take action, now you got to start to predict the future. Look at your trends. Understand what your baseline of sentiment is across your topics, your themes. Understand what it looks like across locations and regions, and start to call out things that are moving, changing, and then you're going to be able to have a good understanding of what your customers want and how you can impact it. That's the gist of how to take care of the unstructured data. I'm going to close out with 2 quick customer success stories. I know we're close to catamaran time. These will be fast, I promise. First is for a fast casual restaurant. They were working with us, monitoring their trends, and they saw at about 5 to 7 locations, all of a sudden the word manager was coming up. And it was coming up in a positive sentiment. That is actually unique. Typically when the word manager is coming up in your reviews, it is negative, not positive. So they dove in, and they figured out that these 5 locations had recently implemented a requirement for managers to do a check-in on the tables. So they were dropping in much more frequently, and they were finding out, hey, this is a bad experience, let me repair this, and it was raising the level of service. The brand was then able to go, all right, that is not an expensive solution, let's put that brand wide, see what happens. They saw a lift in their customer service. Another one that I really care for too, this is a good example, it's a QSR brand who changed the vendor of their French fries to a more cost-effective provider. And I wanted to know if that was a bad influence or if that was having a bad impact on them. So we started diving into, again, those topics and trends across the brand, monitoring words like fry, French fry, related words, tying that unstructured data, seeing if the topics were changing, the volume of mentions were changing, and tying that unstructured data with the structured data of their revenue. It was level. Everything stayed the same. There was no impact. So they made that change. They were able to save money with no cost to them. And the pro tip I'll call out with that is they could have easily created a structured survey to ask questions about their fries, but they might have called out attention to something their customers otherwise wouldn't have noticed. All right, that's everything. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time.
Wow.
My name's Ian Lonsdale. If you have any questions, please come see me. My colleague Jeff is also here, and I'll be on the catamaran. He's going golfing. Have a great day. Thank you.
Wow, great job.